In a distant corner of the galaxy, where stars twinkled like diamonds scattered across an endless black canvas, humanity had finally found its place among the stars. For centuries, Earth had been nothing more than a speck in the universe, isolated and alone. But that changed when humans discovered faster-than-light travel. Now, they were part of something bigger, a vast network of alien civilizations known as the Galactic Council. It was a time of wonder, exploration, and discovery. Yet no one could have predicted what would happen next. The story began aboard the Stellar Horizon, a sleek research vessel tasked with studying the biology of various species across the galaxy. The ship's crew consisted of some of the brightest minds from Earth, including Dr. Alan Carter, a tall man with graying hair and sharp eyes that always seemed to be searching for answers. He was a xenobiologist, someone who studied life forms not native to Earth. Beside him stood Captain Lisa Monroe, a confident woman in her late 30s with short brown hair and a commanding presence. Together, they led a team dedicated to unraveling the mysteries of the universe. It all started during a routine experiment. The crew had been testing how different species reacted to water, which was essential for understanding aquatic environments. Many aliens required specialized equipment just to survive near water, while others thrived in it. Water, after all, was one of the most common yet complex substances in the universe. That's why the results of their latest test were so shocking, Dr. Carter, said Lieutenant Ryan Scott, a young officer monitoring the data on his tablet. His voice carried a hint of disbelief. You're going to want to see this. Alan looked up from his notes. Curiosity piqued. What is it? Ryan hesitated before answering. We ran the simulation again. Humans, they don't drown. Frowned. That's impossible. Everyone knows humans need air to breathe. Prolonged exposure to water should lead to drowning, just like any other mammal. I know, Ryan replied quickly. But look at the numbers, no matter how long. We submerged them. There's no sign of distress. Their bodies seemed completely unaffected. Captain Monroe stepped closer, her arms crossed over her chest. Are you saying humans are somehow immune to water? Ryan nodded nervously. Yes, ma'am, at least according to these readings. We've double-checked everything. There's no error in the equipment. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. If true, this discovery would change everything. Humanity had always prided itself on being adaptable, resourceful, and resilient. But immunity to water? That sounded almost supernatural. Word of the findings spread quickly through the ship. By the end of the day, everyone was talking about it. Some dismissed it as a fluke, while others whispered excitedly about what it might mean. Could this be proof of some forgotten evolutionary trait? Or perhaps evidence of genetic engineering by an ancient civilization? Back on Earth, news of the experiment reached Dr. Rachel Bennett, a marine biologist working for the United Earth Science Consortium. She was sitting in her lab, surrounded by tanks filled with colorful fish and glowing jellyfish, when her assistant burst in with the report. You won't believe this, her assistant said breathlessly, handing her a tablet. They're saying humans can't drown. Rachel raised an eyebrow. What do you mean can't drown? That doesn't make sense? Her assistant shrugged. I don't know. Something about the tests showing no harm from water. Look, it's right here. Rachel skimmed the document, her heart racing. She read, her scientific mind began piecing together possibilities. Could it be true? Was there something about human biology that had gone unnoticed for centuries? Determined to find out, Rachel contacted Dr. Eric Hayes, a geneticist she'd worked with before. Eric was a quiet man with glasses, perpetually perched on his nose, and a passion for unraveling the secrets of DNA. When she explained the situation, he agreed to help immediately. This is huge, Eric said, leaning forward in his chair. Humans really are immune to water. It could rewrite everything we know about our evolution. But why now? Rachel asked. Why hasn't anyone noticed this before? Eric thought for a moment. Maybe because we haven't had the technology to test it properly until now. Or maybe, trailed off, his expression thoughtful, maybe it's something dormant. A gene that only activates under certain conditions, like their conversation. was interrupted by a call from the Galactic Council. They wanted answers and fast. News of the discovery had reached the council chambers, sparking both fascination and unease among its members. Alien representatives from dozens of worlds gathered to hear Dr. Carter present his findings. As Alan spoke, the room buzzed with murmurs. Some delegates leaned forward, eager to learn more, while others exchanged skeptical glances. One particularly vocal critic was Ambassador Kelver, a towering figure with shimmering blue skin and gills along his neck. His people, the Valith, lived entirely underwater and viewed themselves as masters of aquatic environments. "This is absurd," Kelver declared, his voice echoing through the chamber. "No species can simply evolve immunity to water. Such a claim defies the laws of biology." Alan remained calm, though his hands trembled slightly as he adjusted his glasses. "With respect, Ambassador, the data speaks for itself. Humans appear to possess a unique biological mechanism that protects them from harm caused by water." Kelver narrowed his eyes. "And yet, your own history shows countless instances of humans drowning. How do you explain that?" "We're still investigating," Alan admitted. "But preliminary evidence suggests this immunity may only activate under specific circumstances. Perhaps extreme stress or oxygen deprivation triggers it." The ambassador scoffed, convenient and highly suspicious. His words sent ripples through the council. While many were intrigued by the discovery, others shared Kelver's concerns. What if this immunity extended beyond water? What else might humans be hiding? Back on Earth, the debate spilled into public forums. Social media lit up with theories, ranging from plausible to outrageous. Some claimed it was proof of divine intervention, while others joked about humans secretly being mermaids. Amid the chaos, Rachel and Eric worked tirelessly to uncover the truth. They began by examining ancient fossils and artifacts, looking for signs of early humans interacting with water in ways that hinted at adaptation at them. Fossils from coastal regions showed evidence of prolonged periods spent in shallow waters. Cave paintings depicted figures diving deep beneath the waves, unharmed. Even old myths spoke of heroes who walked underwater as if it were solid ground. "It's like we've been blind to our own history," Rachel said one evening, rubbing her temples. "All these clues were right in front of us, but we never connected the dots." Eric nodded. "And now, thanks to advances in genetics, we might finally understand why." Their work caught the attention of Senator Daniel Brooks, a seasoned politician known for his diplomatic skills. He invited Rachel and Eric to brief him on their progress. Recognizing the potential impact on interstellar relations, "This could be a turning point for humanity," Daniel said after hearing their report. "But we need to handle it carefully. If we play our cards wrong, it could backfire." Rachel agreed. "We have to focus on transparency. Show the galaxy that this isn't a threat, it's an opportunity." Daniel smiled faintly. "Easier said than done. But I'll do what I can to keep things stable. In the meantime, keep digging. The answers are out there." With renewed determination, Rachel and Eric returned to their labs. Little did they know, their investigation would soon take a dangerous turn, one that would put humanity's place in the galaxy to the ultimate test. Dr. Rachel Bennett sat in her lab late at night, staring at the rows of genetic data scrolling across her computer screen. The discovery that humans were immune to water had consumed her thoughts for days. She couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't just a random quirk of biology, it was a clue to something much bigger. Beside her, Dr. Eric Hayes leaned over his microscope, examining samples of human cells under different conditions. The two scientists worked silently, their minds racing with questions. What if it's not just about water? Eric finally spoke, breaking the quiet hum of the lab equipment. "What if this immunity is part of a larger adaptation?" Rachel turned to look at him. "You mean like some kind of evolutionary advantage we didn't know about?" "Exactly," Eric said, adjusting his glasses. "Think about it. Humans have always been survivors. Maybe this trait helped our ancestors endure harsh environments like floods or storms that would have wiped out other species." Rachel nodded slowly. Made sense, but it also raised more questions. If this immunity was real, why hadn't anyone noticed it before? And what triggered it? They needed answers, and fast. News of the discovery had spread far beyond Earth, stirring up curiosity and suspicion among alien civilizations back on the stellar horizon. Captain Lisa Monroe faced mounting pressure from the Galactic Council. Ambassador Kelver had demanded further testing to confirm the results. His skepticism wasn't unfounded. After all, the idea of a species being immune to water sounded almost too good to be true. But his tone carried an edge of hostility. That worried Lisa. "This isn't about science anymore," she muttered to Lieutenant Ryan Scott during a private meeting. "It's politics." Ryan frowned. "You think they'll try to use this against us?" "I don't know," Lisa admitted, "but we can't let them twist the truth. Whatever this immunity is, it belongs to humanity. We need to protect it." Meanwhile, tensions grew among Earth's leaders. Your Senator Daniel Brooks called an emergency session with top scientists and diplomats to discuss how to handle the situation. The room buzzed with voices as everyone argued over the best course of action. "We should share everything we know," one scientist suggested. "Transparency will build trust." "No," another countered. "We don't even understand it ourselves yet. What if they see this as a threat?" Daniel raised his hand to silence the group. "Both sides have valid points, but we need to act carefully. For now, we'll focus on gathering more evidence. If we can prove this immunity is harmless and maybe even beneficial, we might turn this into an opportunity." As the meeting adjourned, Rachel and Eric were asked to present their findings to the council. Though nervous, they prepared diligently, knowing this could shape humanity's future in the galaxy. They compiled data, images, and simulations to explain their theory that humans possessed a dormant gene responsible for their immunity to water. When the day came, Rachel stood before the council chambers, flanked by Eric and a small team of researchers. The room was packed with alien delegates, their expressions ranging from curious to skeptical. Ambassador Kelver watched intently, his arms crossed over his chest. "Esteemed members of the council," Rachel began, her voice steady despite her nerves. "Our research suggests that humans have a unique biological mechanism, allowing them to survive in aquatic environments without harm. This ability appears to be linked to a dormant gene sequence found in all humans." She clicked a button on her tablet, projecting an image of the gene onto a large screen behind her. This gene activates only under specific conditions, such as extreme stress or oxygen deprivation. When activated, it temporarily halts cellular damage caused by submersion, effectively protecting the body. The room erupted into murmurs. Some delegates scribbled notes furiously, while others whispered to their neighbors. Ambassador Kelver stepped forward, his gills fluttering slightly as he spoke. "And how do you propose we verify these claims?" he asked, his tone sharp. "Your history shows countless instances of humans drowning. How do you reconcile that with your so-called immunity?" Rachel took a deep breath. She had anticipated this question. While the gene exists in all humans, it doesn't activate automatically. It requires certain triggers, which may explain why drowning has occurred throughout history. Our ancestors likely lacked the knowledge or tools to fully understand or utilize this trait. Kelver narrowed his eyes. "Even so, this raises concerns. If humans possess such unusual abilities, what else might lie hidden in your biology? Could there be other traits we are unaware of?" His words hung heavy in the air. Several delegates nodded in agreement, clearly uneasy. Rachel glanced at Eric, who gave her a reassuring nod. She continued, choosing her words carefully. "We understand your concerns, Ambassador. However, this discovery is not a weapon or a threat. It's an opportunity. By studying this gene, we can gain insights that may benefit all species, including yours. Imagine the medical advancements possible if we unlock the secrets of cellular protection." Her speech seemed to calm some of the tension in the room, though Kelver remained unconvinced. He exchanged glances with a few other delegates, their expressions unreadable. As the session ended, Rachel felt a mix of relief and unease. She had managed to defend humanity's position. She knew the debate was far from over. Back on Earth, public opinion was divided. Some celebrated the discovery as proof of humanity's resilience, while others feared it would lead to conflict. Conspiracy theories swirled online, with some accusing the government of hiding information. Amid the chaos, Rachel and Eric returned to their work, determined to uncover more about the mysterious gene. Their next step was to examine ancient records and folklore. They believed that myths and legends might hold clues about humanity's relationship with water. Eric pored over dusty books and digital archives, searching for stories that hinted at extraordinary aquatic abilities. Rachel reached out to anthropologists and historians, hoping to piece together a clearer picture of early human life near water. One evening, Eric burst into the lab, his face flushed with excitement. "I think I found something," he exclaimed. Holding up a tablet, Rachel hurried over. On the screen was an image of a cave painting depicting figures diving into deep waters. Surrounding them were symbols resembling waves and fish. "Where did you find this?" she asked, her eyes wide. "It's from a coastal region in Africa," Eric explained. "Archaeologists dated it to over 50,000 years ago. Look closely. These figures aren't struggling. They're moving effortlessly underwater." Rachel studied the image, her mind racing. "If this is accurate, it suggests our ancestors spent significant time in aquatic environments. Maybe they developed this immunity as a survival mechanism." Eric nodded. "If that's true, it could explain why the gene still exists in modern humans. Evolution tends to preserve useful traits, even if they're no longer actively used." Their discovery reignited hope among Earth's leaders. Senator Brooks arranged another meeting with the council, this time armed with new evidence. He hoped it would ease fears and pave the way for collaboration. But unknown to them, darker forces were already at work in the shadows of the galaxy. A secretive organization known as the Obsidian Syndicate monitored developments closely. Led by Zara Vox, a cunning operative with a reputation for ruthlessness, the Syndicate sought to exploit any weakness it could find. When news of humanity's aquatic immunity reached them, Zara saw an opportunity. "This changes everything," she said to her second-in-command, a hulking alien named Vrax. "If humans truly possess such abilities, imagine what we could achieve by harnessing them." Vrax tilted his head. "Do you think they'll share their secrets willingly?" Zara smirked. "Of course not. That's why we'll take what we need." Unbeknownst to Rachel, Eric, and the rest of humanity, the Obsidian Syndicate was planning a move that would thrust the galaxy into turmoil. For now, however, Rachel and Eric focused on their research, unaware of the danger lurking just beyond the horizon. As days turned into weeks, their work brought them closer to understanding the full scope of humanity's unique trait. They uncovered more artifacts, analyzed ancient texts, and conducted experiments to test the limits of the gene. Each new piece of evidence strengthened their case, bolstering Earth's position in the galactic community. But the clock was ticking. The Galactic Council grew restless, and Ambassador Kelver pushed harder for invasive testing. Meanwhile, Zara Vox finalized her plans, setting events in motion that would soon collide with humanity's fragile peace. For Rachel and Eric, the stakes had never been higher. Their discoveries held the key to unlocking humanity's place in the galaxy, but they also posed a risk. If misused, this knowledge could spark fear and distrust, threatening the fragile unity of the Council. As they worked tirelessly to unravel the mystery, they couldn't help but wonder, would their efforts bring harmony or chaos? Little did they know, the answers lay hidden beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered. Dr. Rachel Bennett and Dr. Eric Hayes sat in their lab late one evening, surrounded by stacks of papers, glowing computer screens, and scattered coffee cups. The weight of their discovery pressed heavily on their shoulders. Humanity's immunity to water was no longer just a scientific curiosity, it had become a political powder keg. Every new revelation seemed to raise more questions than answers, and the stakes grew higher with each passing day. Rachel leaned back in her chair, rubbing her temples. "We've got pieces of the puzzle," she said, her voice tinged with frustration. "But it feels like we're missing something big, something that ties it all together." Eric nodded, staring at the genetic sequence displayed on his monitor. "Maybe we're looking at this the wrong way. What if the gene isn't just about survival? What if it's part of something greater?" Rachel raised an eyebrow. "Greater how?" "I don't know," Eric admitted. "But think about it. Humans have always been adaptable. Maybe this gene is proof that our evolution wasn't random. Maybe it was guided by someone or something. The thought sent a chill down Rachel's spine. It sounded far-fetched, but given everything they'd uncovered so far, it wasn't entirely impossible. Ancient myths, cave paintings, and now genetic evidence all pointed to a shared truth buried deep in humanity's past. Could it be that humans were shaped by forces beyond their understanding? Before they could delve deeper into the idea, their conversation was interrupted by an urgent call from Senator Daniel Brooks. His face appeared on the screen, his expression grim. "We've got a problem," he said without preamble. "Data from your research has been leaked." Rachel's heart sank. "What do you mean, leaked?" "Someone hacked into the database containing your findings," Daniel explained. "Details about the gene and its potential applications are now in the hands of the Obsidian Syndicate." "The who?" Eric asked, exchanging a worried glance with Rachel. "They're a rogue organization," Daniel replied. "They operate outside the law, exploiting technology and resources for profit. If they get their hands on this information, they'll stop at nothing to weaponize it." All their hard work, their efforts to understand and share humanity's unique trait, was now at risk of being twisted into something dangerous. She clenched her fists, anger bubbling inside her. "This can't happen," she said firmly. "If they misuse this knowledge, it could destroy everything we've worked for." Daniel sighed. "I agree. That's why we need to act fast." Already contacted Captain Monroe. She's assembling a team to track down the source of the leak and prevent further damage. As the call ended, Rachel turned to Eric. "We can't just sit here and wait. We need to protect this discovery." Eric hesitated. "Do you think they'll come after us?" "It's possible," Rachel said, her voice steady, despite the fear gnawing at her. "If they want to unlock the secrets of the gene, they'll target the people who understand it best." Meanwhile, aboard the Stellar Horizon, Captain Lisa Monroe prepared for what promised to be a perilous mission. Lieutenant Ryan Scott stood beside her as she reviewed the intelligence reports. "The Syndicate operates out of a hidden base somewhere in the Pacific Ocean," Lisa explained, pointing to a map projected onto the wall. "It's heavily fortified, and they've got advanced tech. Getting in won't be easy." Ryan frowned. "And getting out?" Lisa gave him a wry smile. "Let's focus on getting in first." She turned to address the crew gathered in the briefing room. Among them was Dr. Alan Carter, who had returned to Earth temporarily, but now volunteered to rejoin the mission. His presence brought a sense of reassurance, though his expression betrayed his unease. "Our priority is containment," Lisa continued. "We need to retrieve any stolen data and neutralize the threat before it escalates. This isn't just about protecting humanity, it's about preserving trust within the Galactic Council." As preparations continued, Rachel and Eric received unexpected visitors, 2 members of Earth's security forces tasked with escorting them to a safe location. Though reluctant to leave their work behind, they understood the gravity of the situation. "You'll be safer off-site," one of the agents assured them. "Besides, the captain wants you ready in case she needs your expertise." Reluctantly, Rachel and Eric packed their notes and equipment, boarding a transport shuttle bound for a secure facility on the outskirts of the city. From there, they monitored updates from the Stellar Horizon as it approached the Syndicate's underwater stronghold, deep beneath the waves. Zara Vox paced inside her command center, her sharp eyes scanning the monitors displaying real-time data feeds. She had anticipated resistance, but she welcomed it. Conflict only made victory sweeter. "Humans are predictable," she muttered to herself. "They cling to their morals even when faced with extinction. How quaint." A Tursecond in command. Vrax entered the room, his massive frame casting a shadow over the dimly lit space. "The Council's ship is approaching," he reported. "Orders," Zara smirked. "Let them come. Activate the defenses. And prepare the Labai want those scientists alive. Their knowledge will be invaluable." Back on the Stellar Horizon, tension mounted as the crew neared the Syndicate's base, hidden beneath layers of rock and coral. The structure blended seamlessly with its surroundings, detectable only through advanced sensors. As they descended into the abyss, the submersible shuddered under the pressure of the crushing depths. This Place gives me the creeps, Ryan muttered, gripping the controls tightly. Lisa ignored the comment, her focus unwavering. Stay sharp. We don't know what we're walking into. Upon reaching the base, the crew deployed stealth drones to scout the area. The drones relayed images of armed guards patrolling the perimeter and automated turrets positioned strategically around the entrance. Breaching the facility would require precision and timing. We'll split into 2 teams, Lisa instructed. Team 1 will create a diversion while Team 2 infiltrates the main lab. Dr. Carter, you're with me? We'll extract whatever data we can find. The plan was risky, but they had no choice. As the operation began, chaos erupted outside the base. Explosions rocked the seabed as decoy charges detonated, drawing the guards' attention away from the true objective. Under cover of darkness, Lisa and her team slipped inside, navigating narrow corridors lined with pulsating bioluminescent lights. Inside the lab, Zaravox watched the intruders progress on her screens, a predatory grin spreading across her face. Perfect, she whispered, just as planned. Unbeknownst to the crew, the entire attack was a trap designed to lure them deeper into the base. As Lisa's team reached the central chamber, alarms blared, sealing the doors behind them. They were trapped. What now? Alan asked, his voice tight with anxiety. Lisa scanned the room, searching for a way out. We adapt, just like humans always do. In the control center, Zara activated the intercom, her voice echoing through the lab. Welcome, Captain Monroe. You've walked right into my web. Surrender and I might let you live. Lisa exchanged a determined look with her team. Not a chance. Outside the base, Rachel and Eric followed the unfolding events via live feed, their hearts pounding as they watched the crew fight to escape. For the first time, they realized the full extent of the danger lurking in the shadows and the lengths. Some would go to exploit humanity's secrets. As the battle raged on, Rachel clenched her fists, vowing silently to protect the truth. No matter the cost, she wouldn't let anyone twist humanity's legacy into a weapon, not while she still drew breath. Little did she know, the greatest challenges and revelations were yet to come. Inside the Syndicate's underwater base, Captain Lisa Monroe and her team faced a desperate situation. The doors were sealed shut, trapping them in a dimly lit chamber filled with humming machinery and glowing control panels. Alarms blared loudly, echoing off the metal walls. Zaravox's voice crackled over the intercom, taunting them. You can't win, she said coldly. Surrender now, or I'll flood this room. Lisa clenched her jaw, refusing to show fear. She glanced at her team doctor Alan Carter, Lieutenant Ryan Scott, and 2 other crew members. They stood ready, weapons drawn, but their faces betrayed their unease. The air was thick with tension. The weight of the water pressing against the walls outside felt almost suffocating. We're not giving up, Lisa said firmly, not while we still have options. Ryan moved toward one of the control panels, his fingers flying across the buttons. I think I can override the lock, he muttered, sweat beading on his forehead. But it'll take time. Time we don't have, Alan added nervously, glancing at the sealed door behind them. He could hear muffled footsteps approaching. From the other side, guards closing in. Lisa didn't hesitate. Keep working on the lock. The rest of us will hold them off. She turned to face the hallway leading into the chamber, raising her weapon. Her heart pounded as she prepared for what was coming next. Moments later, the first wave of guards appeared, their weapons trained on the intruders. Laser bolts zipped through the air, forcing Lisa and her team to take cover behind overturned tables and equipment. The firefight was intense. Sparks flew as energy blasts hit nearby machines, sending shards of metal ricocheting around the room. Lisa fired back, her aim steady, despite the chaos. Beside her, Ryan worked frantically, his hands trembling as he tried to bypass the security system. Almost there, he shouted, his voice barely audible over the noise. Just then, a loud hissing sound filled the room. Water began seeping through cracks in the walls, a clear sign that Zaravox had started flooding the chamber. Panic flickered in the eyes of Lisa's team, but she refused to let it take hold. Stay focused, she ordered, firing another shot at an advancing guard. We're getting out of here. Finally, Ryan let out a triumphant shout. Got it. The doors slid open with a hydraulic hiss, revealing a narrow corridor beyond. Without hesitation, Lisa led her team through the opening, leaving the rising water behind them as they sprinted. Down the hallway, they encountered more resistance. Syndicate operatives blocked their path, forcing the group to fight their way forward. Each step brought them closer to the lab where Dr. Eric Hayes was being held captive. But with every passing second, the danger grew greater. Meanwhile, Rachel Bennett watched the unfolding events from the safety of the secure facility. The live feed transmitted by the stellar horizon showed glimpses of the chaos inside the base. Her stomach churned as she saw Lisa and her team dodging explosions and gunfire. She couldn't shake the feeling of helplessness. "Is there anything we can do?" she asked the security officer standing beside her. He shook his head grimly. "Our job is to keep you safe. If things go south, they'll need your knowledge intact." Rachel nodded, though her mind raced with guilt. She wanted to help to be part of the action, but she knew staying put was the right decision. Instead, she focused on reviewing the data they had gathered so far, hoping to find something useful that might aid the rescue mission. Eric sat next to her, equally troubled. "Do you think they'll make it?" he asked quietly. "They have to," Rachel replied, her voice firm despite the uncertainty gnawing at her. "If they don't," she trailed off, unable to finish the thought. Back aboard the stellar horizon, Lieutenant James Cole monitored the operation from the ship's bridge. His hands hovered over the controls, ready to intervene if needed. Though he wasn't directly involved in the raid, he felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. Every update from the ground team made his pulse quicken. "There. Close," he murmured to himself, watching the tracker display their progress. "Come on, Lisa. You've got this." Inside the base, Lisa's team finally reached the lab. The door slid open to reveal a scene that made Lisa's blood boil. Dr. Eric Hayes was strapped to a chair, wires attached to his temples. Zara Vox stood nearby, her arms crossed, a smug smile on her face. Well, Zara said, stepping forward. "Looks like the cavalry has arrived." Lisa raised her weapon, aiming it squarely at Zara. "Let him go, now." Zara chuckled darkly. "Or what? You'll shoot me. Go ahead. But if I die, so does your precious scientist." Lisa hesitated, her finger hovering over the trigger. She glanced at Eric, who looked pale and exhausted, but still conscious. Whatever the Syndicate had done to him, he wasn't broken yet. "Don't listen to her," Eric called out weakly. "She's bluffing." Zara's smile widened. Before anyone could react, Vrack stepped into the room, dragging another hostage with him, Dr. Alan Carter. Lisa's stomach dropped as she realized the full extent of the trap. Both scientists were now in Zara's clutches, and she held all the cards. "What do you want?" Lisa demanded, lowering her weapon slightly. "It's simple," Zara replied. "You leave, and I keep the gene. All of it. Humanity's little secret becomes mine to exploit." "No deal," Lisa snapped. "That's not happening." Zara shrugged. "Then I guess we're at an impasse." For a moment, no one moved. The tension in the room was palpable, each side waiting for the other to blink. Then, suddenly, the lights flickered, plunging the lab into darkness. "What's going on?" Zara barked, spinning around to face Vrax. "It's the power grid," Vrax growled. "Someone must have sabotaged it." In the confusion, Lisa sprang into action. Using the cover of darkness, she tackled Zara to the ground, knocking the weapon from her hand. At the same time, Ryan and the others freed Eric and Alan from their restraints. "Move," Lisa shouted, grabbing Eric's arm and pulling him toward the exit. The group sprinted through the corridors, dodging guards and avoiding pockets of flooding water. Behind them, Zara recovered quickly, shouting orders to her men. "Stop them. Don't let them escape." The chase was relentless. Just as they reached the outer hatch leading to the submersibles, a massive explosion rocked the base. Flames erupted from deep within the structure, lighting up the murky waters outside. Someone, possibly Zara herself, had triggered the self-destruct sequence. "We're out of time," Ryan yelled, slamming his fist against the control panel. To open the hatch, one by one, the team scrambled into the waiting submersibles, their hearts pounding as debris rained down around them. Lisa took the controls of the lead vessel, guiding it away from the collapsing base, just as the final detonation tore through the structure. A shockwave rippled through the water, shaking the submersibles violently. As they ascended toward the surface, the survivors sat in stunned silence. No one spoke. The enormity of what had just happened was too much to process. Eric leaned back in his seat, closing his eyes as relief washed over him. Alan stared out the window, watching the wreckage disappear into the depths below. And Lisa gripped the controls tightly, her knuckles white, vowing silently never to underestimate the enemy again. When they finally broke the surface, sunlight streamed through the cockpit windows, bathing the cabin in warm light. The stellar horizon loomed above them, its sleek hull gleaming in the afternoon sun. As the submersibles docked, medical teams rushed to meet them, tending to injuries and offering words of encouragement. Rachel and Eric embraced tightly once. Reunited, neither willing to let go. For a brief moment, the world felt safe again, or as safe as it could be, given everything they had been through. But even as the immediate threat faded, questions lingered. Who had leaked the data in the first place? How far-reaching was the Syndicate's influence? And most importantly, how could humanity protect itself from those who sought to exploit its secrets? For now, though, they allowed themselves a small measure of peace. They had survived. Against all odds, they had escaped the abyss and lived to tell the tale. The aftermath of the underwater mission left humanity shaken but determined. News of the Obsidian Syndicate's attack spread quickly, not just on Earth but across the galaxy. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session to address the fallout. Tensions ran high as delegates from various alien races debated how to respond to the rogue organization's actions, and what it meant for humanity's place in the galactic community. Ambassador Kelver wasted no time seizing an opportunity to voice his concerns. Standing tall in the council chambers, his gills fluttering with each breath, he addressed the assembly with a tone of thinly veiled accusation. "This incident proves that humans cannot be trusted," he declared, his deep voice echoing through the room. "Their so-called immunity to water is not a gift. It is a weapon waiting to be unleashed." Senator Daniel Brooks, representing Earth, rose to counter the accusation. His calm demeanor masked the storm of emotions brewing inside. "With respect, Ambassador, this immunity is not a threat. It is a biological trait, one that has existed in humans for millennia without causing harm. The real danger lies with groups like the Obsidian Syndicate who seek to exploit such discoveries for their own gain." Kelver's eyes narrowed. "And yet humans have kept this secret hidden until now. How can we know there are no other secrets lurking beneath the surface?" The room erupted into murmurs as delegates exchanged uneasy glances. Some nodded in agreement with Kelver, while others seemed more willing to give humanity the benefit of the doubt. Senator Brooks knew he had to tread carefully. One misstep could turn the Council against Earth entirely. "We understand your concerns," he continued, raising his hands in a gesture of peace. That is why we propose full transparency moving forward. Humanity will share all findings related to this discovery, not just with the Council, but with scientists across the galaxy. Together we can study this trait and ensure it benefits everyone, not just one species. His words seemed to ease some of the tension, though skepticism lingered. A representative from the insectoid Zyran race leaned forward, clicking its mandibles. Thoughtfully, "Transparency is commendable," it said in a raspy voice. "But trust must be earned. How do we know this is not merely a delaying tactic?" Brooks nodded, acknowledging the challenge. "Fair enough. To demonstrate our commitment, we invite representatives from each member world to join a joint research initiative. This project will focus not only on understanding human biology, but also on exploring potential applications that could aid all species." The proposal sparked a mix of reactions. Some delegates appeared intrigued by the idea, while others remained cautious. Ambassador Kelver, however, was unmoved. "A noble gesture," he said dryly. "But empty promises mean nothing unless backed by action." Despite his resistance, the majority of the Council supported the initiative. The motion passed, albeit narrowly, paving the way for unprecedented collaboration between humanity and its galactic neighbors. For the first time since the discovery, hope began to outweigh fear, back on Earth. Dr. Rachel Bennett and Dr. Eric Hayes threw themselves into preparing for the joint research effort. They worked closely with Senator Brooks and Captain Lisa Monroe to outline the project's goals and structure. Their lab became a hub of activity as they compiled data, drafted reports, and coordinated with scientists from across the galaxy. "It's a lot to take on," Eric admitted one evening, rubbing his temples as he reviewed a stack of documents. "But if we can pull this off, it could change everything." Rachel nodded, her expression thoughtful. "It's not just about proving ourselves to the Council. This could be our chance to show the galaxy that humanity isn't a threat." Partners, their optimism was tempered by lingering questions. Who had leaked the data to the Obsidian Syndicate? And how had Zarvox managed to infiltrate Earth's secure systems so easily? These unanswered mysteries weighed heavily on their minds, even as they focused on the task at hand. Meanwhile, Captain Monroe took charge of investigating the breach. With the help of Lieutenant Ryan Scott and the crew of the Stellar Horizon, she traced the leak back to a mole within the United Earth Science Consortium. The culprit turned out to be a low-level technician who had been bribed by the syndicate. Though the individual was arrested, the damage had already been done. "This isn't over," Lisa warned during a debriefing session. "The syndicate may have lost this round, but they won't stop trying. We need to stay vigilant." Her words resonated deeply with Rachel and Eric, who understood the gravity of the situation. If the syndicate succeeded in exploiting the gene, the consequences could be catastrophic, not just for humanity, but for the entire galaxy. As preparations for the joint initiative continued, Rachel and Eric traveled to the Council's headquarters to present their findings to the newly formed research team. The facility buzzed with activity as scientists from dozens of worlds gathered to collaborate. Alien researchers brought unique perspectives and expertise, enriching the discussions with fresh ideas. One particularly enthusiastic participant was Dr. Lyrinix, soft-spoken amphibious scientist from the Valeth race. Her people's intimate connection to water made her uniquely qualified to contribute to the project. She approached Rachel and Eric after one of the initial meetings, her webbed hands gesturing animatedly. "I find your work fascinating," she said, her voice melodic. "The implications of this gene could revolutionize aquatic medicine. Imagine treatments that protect cells from damage caused by extreme conditions." Rachel smiled warmly. "That's exactly what we're hoping to achieve, but we couldn't do it alone. Your insights will be invaluable." Dr. Lyrinix returned the smile. "Then let us work together for the good of all." The collaboration proved fruitful almost immediately. Within weeks, the team identified new applications for the dormant gene, ranging from medical breakthroughs to advancements in environmental science. Early experiments showed promise, sparking excitement among participants. Even Ambassador Kelver softened slightly, though he remained wary. However, not everyone shared the enthusiasm. In the shadows of the galaxy, remnants of the Obsidian Syndicate regrouped under Zaravox's leadership. Though their base had been destroyed, their network remained intact. From a hidden outpost, Zara plotted her next move. "We underestimated them," she admitted to Vrax, pacing the dimly lit chamber. "But mistakes can be corrected. Humanity's gene is still within reach. We simply need a new approach." Vrax tilted his massive head. "What do you suggest?" Zara stopped, her lips curling into a sinister grin. "Patience. Let them celebrate their victory while we gather strength. When the time is right, we'll strike again, and this time, there will be no escape." Unaware of the Syndicate's plans, Rachel and Eric focused on building bridges with their alien colleagues. Progress was slow but steady, bolstered by moments of genuine camaraderie. During a rare break from their work, Rachel joined Dr. Lyrinix and several others for a meal in the facility's communal dining area. The conversation flowed freely, touching on topics both scientific and personal. "What do you miss most about Earth?" Dr. Lyrinix asked curiously. Rachel paused, considering the question. "The ocean," she replied after a moment. Something magical about standing on the shore, watching the waves crash against the sand. It reminds me of how small we are and how connected. Lyrinix nodded knowingly. Water has a way of doing that. It binds us all, whether we realize it or not. Sentiment stayed with Rachel long after the meal ended. She returned to her lab. She reflected on the journey that had brought them here. What began as a startling discovery had evolved into a global land galactic effort to understand and embrace humanity's unique trait. For the first time, Rachel felt a sense of purpose beyond her own curiosity. This wasn't just about science. It was about unity, yet, even as hope blossomed, Rachel couldn't shake the feeling that challenges lay ahead. The Obsidian Syndicate's shadow loomed large, a reminder that peace was fragile. Still, she clung to the belief that cooperation would prevail over conflict, that together humanity and its allies could overcome any obstacle. As the days turned into weeks, the joint initiative gained momentum, drawing attention from every corner of the galaxy. Media outlets hailed it as a triumph of diplomacy, while skeptics watched cautiously, waiting for signs of failure. Through it all, Rachel, Eric, and their team pressed on, driven by the knowledge that their work held the key to a brighter future. Little did they know, the true test of their resolve and humanity's place in the galaxy was yet to come. Months passed since the joint research initiative began, and humanity's collaboration with alien scientists had become a beacon of hope in the galaxy. The project, named Project Aquarius, brought together minds from across the stars to study the dormant gene responsible for humans' immunity to water. Breakthroughs came steadily, each discovery deepening the understanding of not just human biology, but also the interconnectedness of life throughout the universe. Dr. Rachel Bennett stood in the central lab of the Galactic Council's research facility, surrounded by her colleagues. Machines hummed softly as they processed data, and holographic displays floated above workstations, showing intricate models of DNA sequences. Dr. Eric Hayes was nearby, explaining a new finding to Dr. Lyrinix and several other alien researchers. Their teamwork had transformed what was once a mystery into a source of inspiration for all species. "This is incredible,"
Dr. Lyrinix said,
her large luminous eyes reflecting the glow of the holograms. "If we can replicate this mechanism, it could help my people survive in even harsher aquatic environments." Rachel smiled, feeling a surge of pride. "That's exactly why we're doing this. It's not just about humans, it's about sharing knowledge that benefits everyone." The progress wasn't limited to medicine or biology. Engineers adapted the principles behind the gene to develop technologies that protected cells from extreme conditions, such as radiation or high pressure. These innovations promised to revolutionize space exploration, allowing ships to venture further into dangerous regions of the galaxy. For the first time, humanity was seen not as outsiders, but as equals contributors to the collective advancement of galactic civilization. Despite these successes, tension still simmered beneath the surface. Ambassador Kelver remained skeptical, often questioning the motives behind Earth's transparency. Though he no longer openly accused humanity of hiding secrets, his sharp comments during council meetings kept everyone on edge. Senator Daniel Brooks worked tirelessly to maintain diplomacy, reminding delegates that trust took time to build. One evening, after a particularly grueling day of presentations and debates, Rachel sat alone in the lab, staring at the glowing screens around her. Her mind wandered back to the early days of the discovery, the fear, the uncertainty, and the danger posed by the Obsidian Syndicate. She wondered if Zara Vox and her followers had truly been neutralized, or if they were simply biding their time. Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft knock on the door. Eric poked his head in, holding 2 steaming cups of tea. "You look like you need this," he said, handing one to her. "Thanks," Rachel replied, taking a sip. The warmth spread through her chest, calming her nerves. "I was just thinking, do you think we've done enough? Have we really proven ourselves to the galaxy?" Eric leaned against the counter, his expression thoughtful. "I think we've made a good start. But proving ourselves isn't something that happens overnight. It's about consistency, showing that we're reliable partners who care about more than just ourselves." Rachel nodded slowly. "You're right. Still, it feels like there's so much riding on this. If we mess up, it won't just affect Osita, it'll affect everyone. Before Eric could respond, an urgent message flashed on one of the monitors. It was from Captain Lisa Monroe aboard the Stellar Horizon. Rachel's stomach tightened as she read the words. Possible resurgence of obsidian activity detected. Proceed with caution. The news sent a ripple of unease through the team. While the Syndicate's base had been destroyed months ago, remnants of their network continued to operate in secret. Intelligence reports suggested they were regrouping, possibly planning another attack. The timing couldn't have been worse with Project Aquarius gaining momentum. Any disruption could derail the fragile trust built between humanity and its allies. Senator Brooks called an emergency meeting to address the threat. Representatives from various worlds gathered in the council chambers, their expressions tense. Lisa Monroe briefed them on the latest intel, her voice steady but serious. We've identified a potential hideout near the outer rim of the galaxy, she explained. It's heavily guarded, and we suspect they're stockpiling stolen technology, including data related to the gene. Ambassador Kelver spoke up immediately. This confirms our suspicions. Humanity cannot be trusted to safeguard such power. Perhaps it is time to reconsider their role in the council. Brooks bristled, but kept his composure. With respect, Ambassador, this isn't about blame. The Syndicate operates outside the law. They're a threat to all of us. What we need now is unity, not division. To everyone's surprise, Dr. Lyrinix stepped forward. Senator Brooks is correct, she said firmly. The Obsidian Syndicate seeks to exploit science for selfish gain. If we allow fear to divide us, we play directly into their hands. Instead, we must stand together and neutralize this threat once and for all. Her words resonated with many in the room, shifting the tone of the discussion. Slowly, support began to build for a coordinated effort to confront the Syndicate. A coalition of ships, including the Stellar Horizon and vessels from allied races, prepared to launch a preemptive strike. As the fleet assembled, Rachel and Eric faced a difficult decision. They were needed on Earth to continue their research, but they also felt compelled to join the mission. In the end, they chose to stay behind, trusting Lisa and her crew to handle the operation. Our place is here, Rachel told Eric. If anything goes wrong, the Council will need proof that we're committed to peace, not war. The battle against the Obsidian Syndicate unfolded far from Earth, in the cold void of space near the Outer Rim. The Coalition forces engaged the Syndicate's stronghold, a massive asteroid outfitted with weapons and defenses. Explosions lit up the darkness as ships exchanged fire. While boarding parties fought hand-to-hand inside the facility, Lisa led the charge, determined to put an end to Zara Vox's schemes once and for all. After a fierce struggle, her team located Zara in the command center, surrounded by stolen equipment and data drives. It's over, Lisa said, pointing her weapon at the rogue operative. Surrender. Zara smirked, though her confidence wavered. You think this changes anything? There will always be those who see opportunity in chaos. Maybe, Lisa replied. But today, order wins. With Zara captured and the facility destroyed, the immediate threat was eliminated. News of the victory spread quickly, bolstering humanity's standing in the galaxy. Even Ambassador Kelver begrudgingly acknowledged the outcome, though his skepticism remained. Back on Earth, Rachel and Eric watched the reports with mixed emotions. Relief washed over them, but they knew the fight for trust and cooperation was far from over. As they returned to their work, they focused on the bigger picture, the long-term impact of their discoveries. Over time, Project Aquarius became a symbol of unity, demonstrating what could be achieved when different species work together. Medical treatments derived from the gene saved countless lives. While technological advancements opened new frontiers for exploration, humanity's unique trait, once viewed with suspicion, was now celebrated as a gift to the galaxy. Captain Lisa Monroe reflected on the journey as she gazed out at the stars from the bridge of the Stellar Horizon. She had witnessed humanity's struggles and triumphs firsthand, from the initial shock of the discovery to the challenges of earning the galaxy's trust. Though dangers still lurked in the shadows, she felt a renewed sense of hope. We've come a long way, she murmured to herself, a faint smile crossing her lips. and we're just getting started. For Rachel, Eric, and everyone involved in Project Aquarius, the experience had changed them forever. They had faced fear, betrayal, and conflict, but they had also discovered the power of collaboration and resilience. Together, they proved that humanity's greatest strength wasn't its immunity to water, but its ability to adapt, connect, and inspire others as the galaxy moved forward into an uncertain future. One truth became clear. Humanity's place among the stars was no longer defined by isolation or fear. Instead, it was marked by a shared commitment to understanding, growth, and unity, a legacy that would endure for generations to come.